promised to retaliate against Russia over the alleged hacking attacks designed to disrupt the recent election.
I think there is no doubt that when any foreign government tries to impact the integrity of our elections, that we need to take action, and we will, at a time and place of our own choosing.
Obama made the threat in a radio interview, although he didn't specify when and what kind of action he was going to take. He added Moscow tried to undermine the election and create more problems for Hillary Clinton's campaign than for her rival Donald Trump. Last week, Obama even ordered a full review into perceived Russian meddling in U.S. elections, going all the way back to 2008. RT's Miguel Francis Santiago looks at how Russia's being presented as a #1 cyber threat to America.
It started with sensational headlines, and now it spiraled to this.
Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the Russian attempt to disrupt the U.S. election. Putin's role was directing the use of the hacked material.
So how do you get from a WikiLeaks about the DNC to Putin with a smoking gun? Like this. First, cite anonymous private security experts and unnamed officials. No need to bother with evidence and facts. The man behind the leaks, who has a 10-year record of high-profile leaks, has publicly denied Russian involvement. Even the director of the FBI can be ignored. So who should we actually listen to? Perhaps the main victim of the leaks.
There's no doubt now that Russia has used cyber attacks against all kinds of organizations in our country.
Her camp backed this message.
Russian state actors broke into the DNC, stole these emails.
Now that you're convinced Russia's to blame for everything, we can make it official.
The U.S. intelligence community is confident that the Russian government directed the recent compromises of emails from U.S. persons and institutions. The recent disclosures of alleged hacked emails are consistent with the methods and motivations of Russian-directed efforts.
What efforts exactly? What countries' elections has Russia tried to undermine? Again, not a shred of evidence, but they're confident. And then the next step is to give the new boogeyman a face. Enter Putin. But just in case you did want some proper evidence,
I do not have an additional intelligence assessment to share from the podium.
So are you confirming that the House believes that Vladimir Putin is a person?
I've seen those reports. I'm not in a position to confirm them. I'd refer to the intelligence community for their assessment.
So there you go. That's how you prove it was the Russians.
Now, the content of the leaked emails from the Democratic Party were covered by a number of American media outlets, which the White House claims is because they come under the far-reaching influence of the Kremlin.
News organizations in the United States essentially became the arms of Russian intelligence.
Some 200 news websites were even branded, quote, peddlers of Russian propaganda by the little-known research group Prop or Not. Yet it was cited by the Washington Post in an article about Moscow's alleged attempt to spread fake news. The former U.S. Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, Paul Craig Roberts, says the country's highest office is quoting fiction as fact.
It's really inexplicable why the media and the White House would be repeating unsubstantiated rumors as if they were fact. Once again, we have no CIA report showing collusion between Trump and Putin or any interference between Russia and the elections. We don't know who these people are. We don't know why the media reports undocumented claims without any evidence. Even the FBI says that these claims would not stand up in court. In other words, they're unsupported. They're rumors, and they're being presented by the Western media as if they are fact.
Some on Twitter have started using the hashtag "The Russians did it" to poke fun at the wave of accusations being hurled at Russia. One person mocked the lack of evidence cited in media coverage of the election hacks, and some think the blame game's reached a point where Russia can now be blamed for anything. While Russia, however, is now the first country to be branded enemy number 1 in cyberspace. Just a couple of years ago, the same words were said about China, so it's no wonder that sometimes U.S. officials might get confused.
China's military continues to explore the role of military operations in cyberspace.
For serious cybersecurity breaches, that's something that and a growing concern.
About China's activities in cyberspace.
In cyberspace, Russian actors have engaged in challenging activities.
Russia's nefarious behavior in cyberspace.
Directed by the highest levels of the Russian government.
The Russian government.
A Russian hack.
China was engaged in malicious cyber activity to destabilize our political system.
You said China.
I'm sorry, Russia. Flipping back and forth between topics. Tricky.
Now, the runner-up in Austria's presidential elections are